Hello friends, I am Kartikeya Rao and I will be sharing my presentation about finding closest harshad number to a given number. A harshad number. A number is said to be a harshad number if it is divisible by the sum of its digits. For example, I have taken here the number 54. The sum of digits is 5 plus 4, that is 9, and 54 is of course divisible by 9, which makes 54 a harshad number. Similarly, I could take a number like 20. The sum of its digits is 2 plus 0, that is just 2. And 20 is of course divisible by 2, which makes 20 a harshad number. Similarly, I could take a number 130. For 130, the sum of its digits is 1 plus 3 plus 0, that is 4. 130 is not divisible by 4, which means that 130 is not divisible, is not a harshad number. Closest harshad number. By the closest harshad number, we mean the closest number to the given number which satisfies the mathematical property of a harshad number. For example, I have taken here the number 57. The numbers we need to find the closest harshad number to 57, which means need to find the closest number to 57 which is divisible by the sum of its digits. For that, we'd first check for 57. 57 is not a Harshad number because the sum of its digits is 5 plus 7, 12, and 57 is not divisible by 12. Then we simultaneously check for 58 and 56, which is a number just upward and just downward to 57. For 58, also we see it is not a Harshad number, and similarly for 56 as well. If we continue like this, we'd see the closest version numbers to 57 would be 54 and 56, both. Both of these lie at a distance of 3 from a given number. For example, I could take here the number 19. We'd first check if 19 is a Herschel number, that is 9 plus 1 is 10, and 19 is of course not divisible by 10, which means 19 is not a Herschel number. So the program would simultaneously check for 20 and 18 as well, which is just upward and just downward to 90, and we find both 80 and 20 are Harshad number, which means the closest Harshad number to 90 are both 18 and 20. So how do we write it in a code? For the code, we first use a function which calculates the sum of its digits, and then we check if a number is Harshad number dividing it with the sum of by dividing it with the sum of its digits. If n is a Harshad number, it would be divisible by the sum of its digits. If it is not, the program would check for both upwards and downwards for a Harshad number. For each new number, it would first find the sum of its digits and then check if that number is divisible by the sum of its digits. That is, if the number is Harshad number or not. The program will keep finding it until it finds the closest Harshad number in either direction, that is, either upwards or downwards to the given number. The program would print the closest Harshad number and then it would stop. Let's move on to the code to find the closest Harshad number to a given number. I have used these are the basic syntax for a C++ program, that is hash include iostream. It is the header file which includes some definitions for cin and cout, and using namespace std, it is a namespace which provides some more definition to these things. And I have used the function sum, which returns an integer and has a parameter as an integer. A parameter n means it is the input to the function, like the number for which I want to find the sum. Here I have first initialize as sum as 0. Let's explain with an example. Here, let's say n is equals to 46. Here, let's say n is equals to 46. That is, the input to the function is 46. So as 46 is greater than 1, the sum would be the remainder of 46 with 10. The remainder of any number with 10 is the units digit of the number, that is the first digit. Here, the units digit is 6. So here sum is equals to sum plus 6, as the sum is initially 0 though. So here sum is equals to 6. Then I have divided n with 10, like n is equals to n divided by 10. Here n and 10 both are integers, which means n is equals to n divided by 10 would mean that the division of n and 10 would also be an integer. So here the division of 46 with 10 would just be 4. Here let me write it. N is equals to 4, and here n is sum. I've used sum is equals to 6. So here n is 4, so n is still greater than 1. So sum would be sum plus n divided by 10, that is 4 divided by 10, that is 4. The remainder of 4 with 10 is 4. So sum would be 6 plus 4, that is 10. Here the sum would be 10, and n would be 0, as the quotient when 4 is divided by 10 is 0. And here as sum is 10, that is 6 plus 4, it would just return me the sum, that is 10. So this is how we could find the sum of digits of any number. So let's move on to int main. It Here I have used a variable n. It would store the initial value, the number I would enter, and I would like to the number to be a positive integer, as harshad number is decided for positive integer. Or here in C in n, it take the input of n from the user. This block of code, it checks if n is an integer. If n is a harshad number, n is of course an integer. If n is a harshad number, this sum n, it calls the function sum to find the sum of digit of n. So the remainder of n with sum n, that is the sum of digits, if it is 0, it would mean n is a harshad number. So it would just print that n is a harshad number, and n, it would just move here. It would not go to this else block. If n is not a harshad number, then the real game begins. For example, we have taken n is 46. So I would define here some variables up, down, and count. This count variable I would use to control the loop. Like I would use it to make the program terminate after finding a harshad number. Here, up and down is equals to 46, like in the given example. Here, 46 is not a harshad number, so it would just move to the else block. So file count is not equal to 1. So I have initialized count as 0, so it is not equal to 1. So it will just move straight up, move into the loop. So I have incremented up as up is equals to up plus 1, and I will decrement it down as down is equals to down minus 1. So here up is equals to 47, and here down is equals to 45. Yeah, R1 would store the remainder of up and sum of up, and if the remainder R1 is 0, it would mean up is a harshad number. That is the remainder of up with the sum of digits of up would be 0. It means they are divisible. And same goes for R2. R2 is for the variable down, and R2 would be helpful for the downward search of harshad number, and up would be useful for the upward search of harshad number. So for up is equal to 47, so R1 would be 47, and its remainder with 4 plus 7, that is 11. So the remainder of 47 and 11 is 3. So here R1 is 3. Here R2 would be 0, as the remainder of 45 with 4 plus 5, that is 9, is 0. It means 45 is just divisible by 9, and 45 is a harshad number. So it would mean that 45, that down is the closest harshad number to 46. As R1 is not equal to 0 and R2 is equal to 0, it will just move to the last case, that is the block of code containing else, contained by else. It will just print down as the closest Harshad number to n, and it would increment count to count plus 1. So their count would be 1, so that it does not run into the loop again. So here count is equal to count plus 1. Here count is equal to count plus 1, so count would be 1. And here as 1 is equal to 1, this would not work. And the program would just skip to this part, that is return 0, and the program would terminate. For example, let's run it with with the input as 46. Here I have entered 46. 45 is the closest version number to 46, that is down here, as I have used. Down is equal to 46. Now let's use it for another number, another example, that is 19. Here let's take n is equal to 9. For that case, if the program would first check if 19 is a Herschel number, which it obviously is not, because 19 is not divisible by 10. Here it would be 9 is not equal to 0, so it would straight up skip to the else block. Here I have assigned up, down, and count as usual. Like the previous example, I have assigned up as 19, down as 19, count as 0. So it would just get into the loop, and here up would be up is equal to 20 here, and here down is equal to 18. Yeah, in R1 would store the remainder of up, that is 20, with the sum of digits of up, that is 2. So R1 would be 0 here because 20 is divisible by 2. Same goes for R2 as 18 is divisible by 9. As both up and down are divisible by its Harshad number, by its sum of digits, it means up and down both are Harshad numbers. If R1, here the program would straight up go into if block, because R1 and R2 both are equal to 0, and it would just print that up and down are the closest Harshad numbers to n, that is 19. So it would just print 20, and 18 are the closest Harshad numbers to 19, which they are because they are the same distance. Here, there's also a thing to notice that up and down are always at the same distance from the original number, that is n here, which the user entered, because we are decrementing and we are incrementing up and decrementing down by the same amount from n. So they are both at the same distance. So if R1 and R2 are both simultaneously equal to 0, it would mean that the Harshad numbers are at the same distance from n. Excuse me. And here count would be count is equal to count plus 1, which would be count is equal to 1. So it would just, this part of the program would execute, and it would just run here. It would just go here, and as 1 is equal to 1, so this loop would terminate, and the program would straight up jump here, and the program would also terminate. Let's check it. Here it would be 19, and 20 and 18 are the closest Harshad numbers to 19 as expected. And that's my time. Hope you learned something from the presentation. Thank you. Have a nice day.